All right, we've got a call from Alice in Columbia, South Carolina. Hey, Alice, how's it going?
Hi, Christy. Going well, thanks.
Hey, what's going on? How can I help?
Well, I own a small practice and just struggling with figuring out how to balance it all, work-life balance kind of stuff.
Okay, let's dig into it. So tell me, what's your business?
I'm a dentist.
Dentist. Awesome. How long have you been doing it?
Oh, 15 years,
Huh,
14 years.
okay, that's amazing. So one of the things I've kind of experienced, Alice, and you can tell me your thoughts on this. It feels like balance is one of those topics that's really elusive. So when you
Yes.
say, "How do I balance it all?" Let's unpack that. Are you feeling out of balance now, and what is that? Define that for me. What are you feeling, and what's kind of going on in your world, this season of life, this season of your business? Let's kind of dig into that.
Well, it's just, I've always, I don't know, I hate to say work-life balance too, because it just doesn't happen. But just that overwhelm of, taking care of kids, running a household, running a practice, 6 team members, just there's always something, and being able to turn the brain off, especially at night or when you get home, and be mama and wife, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What are the ages of your kids?
13 and 10.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you definitely have a busy schedule. And so it's super easy to get overwhelmed when you've got a lot going on. As an entrepreneur, you have a lot on your shoulders. So I just want you to first hear that what you're feeling is normal. A lot of entrepreneurs feel that. Certainly parents feel that. And then when you've got both going on and pulling at you in multiple different directions, that can be overwhelming. The good news is that just because you're overwhelmed for a day or a week or even a season, it doesn't mean your whole life is out of balance. It might just be you're in a really hard season. So let's start by just kind of defining life balance. And I think this is one of my favorite exercises to do with people. I want you to think about what makes you feel balanced. So don't think of balance as one of those things as how do I balance it all? How do I walk a tightrope? How do I do everything perfectly all the time? That's not realistic. It's not even desirable. It's certainly not realistic at business. And so let's kind of back out of that and say, okay, what makes me feel balanced? Meaning, what makes me feel proud of how I spend my time? What makes me feel good in my life? What makes me like myself? What makes me feel at peace? What makes me happy? Let's kind of dig into that. Think of times in your life when you're like, yeah, this feels right. What does that look like for you?
Oh, that's a tough question because it's been a while.
I hear you.
I think I hate to say when I feel more in control, but when I feel like I'm kind of prioritizing the important things. So like when I'm home, I'm home. When don't feel like I'm, I guess, pulled in one direction over the other. And I know that's very vague,
No,
but,
that's really good.
but like, currently I'm transitioning. I have a team member who's leaving and a new team member that's coming in. And so right now I'm constantly thinking about what that's going to look like, even when I'm at home with family and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I guess when it's not like that, when I'm not worried so much about what's going on in the practice, and I'm able to focus on, my kids when I'm with my kids, or, if I'm exercising, or if I'm, eating well, kind of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
when things aren't crazy. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's really.
Yeah, you make such a good point. The very first thing you said was when I feel in control. And I think that
Yeah.
that is so true. And so let's explore what it would look like for you to have a greater sense of control, even in a busy season, because we all go through those busy seasons. We know that that's reality in life and business. So one of the things you hit on that's going on right now that's on your mind is this transition with team members. What would give you a greater sense of control in this time of transition where you could take it off your mind and actually be present at home like you were talking about? Let's kind of explore what are some things you could do that would give you a greater sense of control and get that off your mind.
If I had a specific system as to what the new team member is going to, I guess, do, or more clarity at the office as to, specific roles, specific duties.
Yeah.
Just I guess certainty that she's going to work out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, that makes a good point. Do you have anyone on your team that could kind of take that and run with it in terms of putting some language to it, putting it on paper? Here's what the onboarding is going to look like. She doesn't have to be the one to do it, but to just essentially create a plan and take that off your plate, the thinking, the strategy, the worrying off your plate. Do you have anyone on your team that you could delegate some of that to?
I have someone I could talk to about it. Not sure that she would. I'm not sure that we would come at it from the same direction, though.
Okay. If you did it yourself, if you were just going to put a plan on paper and say, okay, her first day she's doing this. This is her KRA. This is her. This is what winning looks like in her first week, in her first month. If you were just going to do a rough plan for this person's first month, how long would that take you? Probably
a couple hours, maybe.
Okay. Is that something that you could carve out in the next, I don't know, week and say, I'm just going to spend 2 hours. I'm going to put this plan on paper. Maybe you bring in this person to help you because it'd be a great training opportunity and they might have some additional insight. Is that something that you could carve out to get it off on paper and off your mind to kind of free up that overwhelm?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. That might be a good next step because here's what I've found. So much of our anxiety comes from worrying about things that truly, if we could get them out of our mind and on paper, it takes the worrying out of it. Because when you could, it's like anything, right? Like Alice, if you want to run a marathon, if you want to launch a new business line, anything you want to do, when you can see the plan, you're like, oh, I can do it, right? Like if you can see it, you can do it. So often, though, we don't create that plan. We just worry about how it's possible. David Allen, who's the author of Getting Things Done. He's a productivity expert. He said, your mind is for having ideas, not holding ideas. And when we try to hold ideas in our mind, that's what keeps us up at night. That's what keeps us worrying and stewing and wringing our hands and not able to really be present. So I know it would take some effort on your part, for sure, to carve out this 2 hours. But if you did it, I think the payoff would be huge.
Right.
You know, in relation to this team member transition. I know that doesn't fix all of it, but in relation to that one. But I want to go back to something you said a minute ago. Since you have kind of an action item there, I don't want to miss something else you said. You said prioritizing the important things. What are those for you? What are those important things?
Time with my kids. And one of the biggest things I want to do is cooking. I want to start cooking again.
Okay.
At home. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is time with my kids and I guess taking care of what needs to be done at home.
Okay. Well, very similar to your strategy for this team member transition, I want you to put those things on your calendar. Now, I know this sounds silly, but that tactical step will make it that much easier for it to actually happen. So, and maybe you start by cooking one night a week. It's not every night, but it's one night a week where you're able to integrate this into your life in a way that gives you joy, makes you feel peace, makes you feel proud of how you spend your time. And it's not the pressure of, I've got to maintain this new standard of cooking from scratch 7 nights a week. So I would love to see you start to take some of these things. Time with kids. That's one of those things that we don't put on our calendar. We just hope it happens, right? Like the only thing on our calendar are meetings, but we just hope that happens. I want to challenge you, Alice, to put that on your calendar to where anything that you want to happen actually goes on your calendar. Even at bedtime. If you're like, man, I want to go to bed early, put it on your calendar. Just try that for a week or two and see if that doesn't take some of the overwhelm out of it and give you a greater sense of control so that you're able to prioritize those most important things and actually be present for it. I hope this helps, and I really appreciate you calling. Thanks so much, Alice.